Good evening, and what an evening it is. Tonight it is with great honour and admiration that I introduce a true testament to the power of determination and resilience. I want you to imagine running just one marathon, and I know perhaps a few of you have here tonight. An incredible feat in itself. Now, multiply that by 1,000, not 100, 1,000. Well, today we have the privilege of hearing from a man who has done just that. And what's more, in record time, that has got him into the Guinness Book of Records again. With his 1,000 sub 4-hour marathon firmly under his belt, please join me in welcoming the remarkable Steve Edwards. His journey is not just about running, it's about pushing boundaries, overcoming obstacles, and living life with an unwavering passion. So please get ready to be inspired as Steve shares his story, his lessons, and the incredible journey that led him to this remarkable achievement. So please, guys, let's take 20 seconds to get your cameras on, please. I want to see I want more cameras on tonight than any Zoom we've ever had. Brilliant. Here we come, here we come, here we come, here we come. So guys, all cameras on. And let's give a fantastically warm and wonderful European world welcome to the man in the machine, Steve Edwards. Yeah! Let's wave those arms. Let's see it. Oh my Lord. Thanks, team. That's absolutely wonderful. So Steve, as I said, what a privilege it is to be here with you tonight. What a privilege it is to see you. We were there last Monday, when Steve actually crossed the line, and everything was finally sort of not laid to rest, that's a silly expression, but the fruition, it all happened then. So what I'm going to do, Steve, I'd like you to kick it off, please. Let's share how you feel, and a bit later on we'll have a few questions. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, well, firstly, just like to thank you, Mark, for your kind words, and also thank everybody that was there on the day. You all helped to make it a really special occasion with your exciting support and enthusiasm. It all added to the emotion and the the sort of, well, basically the atmosphere on the day, along with the support from all my family and just about everybody that I know in the running community all over the country, really. And it really made it a special day for us. I know some of you have been following me for many years now, but this was the finale really to what has been an incredible 43-year journey. But I had no idea it would ever go this far when I ran my first race back in 1981. And yeah, what can I say? What an emotional day it was. I mean, we were tired going into it because going into sort of the last couple of weeks, already ran a couple of marathons in the previous 2 weeks. I'd sustained a hip injury, which I didn't need and certainly didn't foresee on my 996 marathon. So the last sort of 4 marathons, and certainly the last 3, were ran with incredible pain. And had it come sort of 20 or 30 marathons before then, I'd have been in trouble. But thankfully, the gods were on my side, and it was kind of a case really of gritting my teeth and putting up with the pain for that for those last sort of 3 marathons, and then counting the miles down really. And yeah, the emotion started really high, even in the morning. People were arriving, they wanted their photographs with me and shake my hand and wish me good luck. And I had a few messages of like, well, it's just another race, it's just another marathon, 26 miles, you've done it 999 times already, so it should be a piece of cake. But a marathon is not a piece of cake. It's such a brutal event, and it'll find out your weakness on any given day. And I'd certainly got my weakness with my injury, but I knew that I had a lot of people who'd come down to support me on that day, and just knowing that everybody's waiting back at the stadium for me to finish, that's what drove me on. And coming into the stadium at the and I'll have to apologise for keeping you all waiting, because I was watching back the video that Catherine took, and even I was shouting at the footy saying, "Come on, Steve, where are you?" I was getting worried that I wasn't going to come. But anyway, yeah, I saw that back over the footage, and yeah, crossing the line with my son and my grandson, and greeting Teresa, and yeah, I was just so emotional. That emotional, in fact, I fell to the ground and just couldn't control myself. I was sobbing that much, and even the St John's ambulance were getting a bit worried. I thought I was really hurt, but no, I was just emotional. But yeah, it was a fantastic day, and then to be presented, which made it all real, with the Guinness World Record certificate, which is there. That's just, for me, it basically just says a few words, and there's no room on there really to describe everything that's gone into this 43-year journey, and it is sometimes difficult to articulate, but what a fantastic finale and a great day. And that day really goes up, it's probably one of my all-time favorite days in my whole life, alongside obviously other great occasions that people have, watching their favorite team win the major cup final, meeting and marrying their partner, watching their children being born. Those sorts of occasions, they are sort of in the top all-time life events, and this certainly goes right up there with those. So it was a fantastic day, and yeah, and I'm dead proud, I'm dead happy, and just excited to sort of be here tonight talking to everybody, and just really grateful for all your support, really. So yeah, happy to answer your questions, Mark.
Fantastic, Steve. And as you said, I haven't checked, but I can't imagine there are many world records that took 43 years to achieve. And that's something that I find absolutely phenomenal. So if it's okay with you, the first question, I think we asked a few people for questions, is, so how did it all start? And can you tell us a bit about your first marathon, how it felt?
Quite by chance, I saw a poster where in my hometown of Coventry, I saw a poster advertising the first Coventry Marathon. It was back in 1981, and it was about 5 or 6 weeks sort of to go. And I just thought, yeah, why not give it a go? I don't really know what it was that sort of sparked the interest, really. I was considered myself to be fairly fit. I was doing martial arts at the time, and I was going to a gym. But I hadn't really done any running since leaving school. So yeah, I had no idea really how to train for a marathon. I didn't really appreciate the concept of running 26 miles, if I'm being honest. And I guess you could say ignorance was bliss, really. So, I turned up on race day, got to just past halfway, wondering what all the fuss was about. I was on for my planned target time, and yeah, a mile later, I found out the hard way just how brutal a marathon is and how much it takes out of you, and what happens to a human body when you haven't conditioned it properly to run 26.2 miles. So I did manage to get to the finish. I was a few minutes outside of my target time. Thought I conquered the world. But waking up and trying to walk the following day and for several days afterwards, my legs were like gateposts. So yeah, not a great feeling, and I vowed never again, actually. But what I discovered was, apart from how painful a marathon can be if you're not prepared, is just what a brilliant sport running is, and the health benefits, both physical and mental, the camaraderie, the social aspects of it all. And that to me was really powerful. And for the first time in my life, having gone through my school years, being bullied at various stages for not being what you might say a normal person, in that I was born with a deformed left hand. So yeah, I suffered at the hands of bullies, and I guess for the first time ever, I'd found something where I'd found a newfound self-confidence, and yeah, realised that there were people around, and you stood on the start line of an event like that, and everybody had mutual respect for one another. And that was the first time that I'd experienced that, I guess. So I took my running seriously after that. I stopped doing martial arts to concentrate more on running. I continued with the gym, and I entered different races. But it wasn't until the late 80s that I started running multiple marathons. And initially that was for charity. But then, of course, I realised that there was records to be broken, and it was the targets and the pushing myself to the limits and setting those records that sort of drove me on to trying to achieve some of those world records.
Great. And actually, when did you decide to go for the 1,000? And what do you think actually set that figure in your head?
Well, moving on from the late 80s, I'd already my first record was actually becoming the youngest person to run 100 marathons. And then my second record I went for after that was running the most marathons in a year, which at the time was 87. Both of those has been improved on since. But I'd set myself a lifetime goal of trying to run 500 marathons in the fastest average finish time. And I'd set myself a target of under 3 hours 15 minutes. And I pretty much hit it really well in 2012 in my 50th birthday year. And I really honestly thought that would be it. So the 1,000 marathon idea didn't actually come until after that. I got back in the car after that 500th marathon under, averaging that time. And I said to Teresa, I'm not sure if she really wanted to hear that, but I said something along the lines of, I know I said to you I was going to retire, but actually I don't feel too bad, and I'm going to see if I can get to 600. So actually, to my surprise, she didn't seem that bothered about it. Said that's fine, that's understandable. The thing is, 600 became 700, and then before long after that, I people were starting to talk about 1,000, and I'd had it in my head that perhaps maybe 1,000 was possible. And I have to say, sort of from 800 onwards, I was occasionally regretting that decision to put it out there. But I just think, if I'd have not gone for it, I would have probably regretted it for the rest of my life. So there's been some painful times, and there's been some dark days when I've really thought I'm not going to do this, and it's been a case of really, really digging deep to try and stay focused. And there have been some difficult times, but as I say, I would have always regretted it if I had not given it my best shot. So sitting here now, knowing what's been achieved, yeah, I'm just so pleased, so happy, and yeah, and finally to get the Guinness World Record, that's just the icing on the cake, really. That was just brilliant.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And you have mentioned to me about, because we know that today we see official marathons all over the place. I mean, relatively speaking, there's almost one a week, I think, just in the south of England. So you talked about in the early days. So the question was, what was it like trying to organize running all these official marathons, having to travel and fit in with your work and family life?
Yeah, I mean, 40 years of doing anything really, you see a lot of changes, and there's certainly been a lot of changes in the sport of marathon running. Back in the day, certainly when I first started, and for many, many years, there were there were mainly road race events. Um, and as the years went by, these road race events became more and more expensive for organisers to host. So a lot of them went by the wayside. So if you wanted to establish these kind of records, you found that you were having to travel well all over Europe really to try and get the numbers in. And obviously logistically, that added a whole new testing element to it all, I guess. And you were just more tired because you're having to travel thousands of miles in between races. Back in those days, there wasn't budget airlines and there was no internet, so everything had to be done by mail and fax and that kind of thing, and pretty much drove and caught ferries all over the place rather than fly. So it was just a whole lot more tiring as well. Um, like you say, Mark, I mean, these days, the marathon running scene's changed incredibly. There are marathons every week. You could, in theory, um, achieve these records in probably less time and without probably leaving the country. But for me, it's always been about not just doing the quantity, but also the quality as well. And this record is what Guinness actually were quite blown away with. The fact that they've been not only done over such a long period of time, they're impressed on many levels really. One, certainly the average finish time for all 1,000 marathons, which was 3 hours 21 minutes and 47 seconds in the end. But the longevity of somebody being able to maintain their health and fitness for over 40 years, to keep their body going and keep pushing their body and keep performing consistency over a long, long period of time. So that's another thing that, that they found absolutely amazing. So Yeah, it has changed a lot. I'm under no illusion that somebody will come along and break this at some point, but hopefully it'll stand for a few years yet. We'll see.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. So, can I think there's a film and a book called The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner. So, I mean, could you talk us to a bit about what it's like to run these marathons and where are your thoughts? What are you feeling?
It is true. I mean, no matter what size event you're running, whether it's a big city marathon with, huge amounts of people supporting and crowd support, to very low key marathons where it's very minimal support with very few runners. But at the end of the day, you are running in your own pain with your own head, and you are kind of on your own. Where I've always sort of what I've always tried to focus on is the end goal, and all throughout my marathon journey, I've had targets, and they've been both short-term and long-term targets. So leading up to the 1,000 and beyond, and to any of the records or targets, the long-term targets, I've always had short-term targets. And really, you break that right down into running each mile in a particular time, keeping each mile to a certain pace, reaching halfway in a certain time, reaching sort of 20 miles in a certain time. I'm not really looking at the bigger picture too much. I mean, it's always there in the background, but I've always gone into each race and prepared literally as if it's my last race that that I'm ever going to run. So all the planning for each race has been meticulous, been a great sort of shown great attention to detail for each race. Really try to adopt what an elite athlete would do in their professional career in terms of making sure that every tiny thing that you can possibly do to improve your performance, improve your recovery, improve, everything, all small margins, which probably only make negligible gains in one race, but over 1,000 marathons, they've made a huge amount of difference. And during the race, really just focusing on, those small little targets within each race. Trying to imagine that I'm sharing the pain that I'm running in with all the other people who they're all going through the same different types of different pain. It's tiredness, muscle soreness, aching limbs. As I said earlier, it's a brutal event, and if you're unprepared properly, then it will sort of find you out. I think I've quoted before that a marathon distance, depending on your stride length, is equates to about 35 to 39,000 steps. And every time you put your foot down in one of those steps, you put in something like 3 to 4 times your body weight through all of your joints. So that in itself, I think you can sort of kind of imagine just stress that you're putting on your whole body.
Yeah.
When you run, your body's got to be durable to run, fairly durable to run one marathon. It's got to be extremely durable to be able to run many, many marathons.
Indeed. Sorry, I'm grinning because I know that we're going to be talking about just a minute exactly what helped you do your last 550. I love what you said there. A huge record to break, a huge goal set, should I say? But it comes down to every step, doesn't it? It comes down. I think you once said one of the most important parts of the marathon is the first step you take over the start line, because once you know you've started, there's short of I don't know, a natural hurricane or something, or a stroke of lightning, you will always finish, which is interesting. And there is a comparison to what we do with Mannatech and how we share small increments, small building blocks lead to greatness, which is fantastic. And it's so beautiful to hear you talking like that. So, Steve, where in the world have you run? And do you have any great stories about chasing kangaroos or kangaroos chasing you?
Oh gosh. I should have thought about interesting stories, but I can think of one or two. I've ran all over the British Isles, from the Outer Hebrides, right the way down through Scotland, Wales, all different parts of England, Isles of Scilly, Isle of Man, Isle of Wight, Jersey, Guernsey, pretty much all over Europe, Scandinavia.
Wow.
In terms of long haul marathons, I've been over to the States. So I've run New York, Chicago, Vegas, Dallas, Los Angeles. Furthest away I've been to is Auckland Marathon in New Zealand. So yeah, and like I say, it has been an incredible journey, not just a running journey, but just a journey of discovery and learning. Not only just how amazing your human body is and what it can withstand if you push it to the limit, but also just visiting different countries, making many new friends. The whole thing, we've been to places we wouldn't have necessarily gone to had it not been for a race, and we're really pleased to have gone. So one story that springs to mind, so we just ran a marathon in Germany this particular Saturday, and the next one was in Switzerland the following morning. So I think I'd come third or second. I'd won some prize money. It was in German marks, which was quite good because it meant we could get a meal, paying local currency. We couldn't really hang around for that long. And then we jumped in the car, and I was literally speeding all the way to try and get over to the border and get near to where the next race was, so we could get our heads down for the night. Unfortunately, there was armed Swiss police in one of the tunnels that you go through as you're going just over the border. Anyway, they pulled us over because they thought we were terrorists or something. But I was speeding, and it took so long to convince them that I was just a runner and I was on my way to another race. And I was trying to say, look, I've won some money, and here's my running shoes, and here's my kit bag. And anyway, I had to follow them down to their station, and he said, well, we'll let you go with a caution. He says, but you owe us a fine, and this is how much it's going to be. So basically, the rest of my winnings from that race, I had to hand over in a fine and a penalty. So, but in all fairness, I was just glad they let me go, and I was able to get to the race and get my head down for 2 or 3 hours in time to prepare for the marathon that day. So that was one event, which at the time was quite serious, but I look back at that, it was quite amusing, really. So then there was another occasion. Actually, this is probably the worst time. One of the worst experiences was I'd ran a marathon in Enschede, and again I'd ran really well that day. I think finished quite high up, but I was trying to get back to catch the earliest ferry possible because I was running back in Britain on the Sunday. But I hadn't realised how tired I was, and I actually fell asleep at the wheel, and yeah, I had a bit of a nasty accident on the motorway, and the car turned, and that was the moment I thought I was going to die. But thankfully, the car stopped rolling, and yeah, still alive, and my family were with me at that time, and we were all still here. And I thought, wow, and I just, that was a real wake-up call. And that was one of those moments where you just think, how did we get out of that? But that was probably the worst moment of probably my whole running career. Thankfully, that was probably the only time when something bad like that happened. Thank God. But yeah, many sort of, if you like, happy times more than, should we say, sad times, I think. But as a journey, I've always said that you have to experience the lows, the very lows, to really appreciate the highs. And when you do get failure is just part of the journey, really. And when I do say failure, I mean, well, what is failure? Well, you fall down, so you get back up. You fall down, you get back up, and this is what you keep doing. And eventually, you get back up and you stay up, and you succeed in where you're going. And that, when you succeed at that point, it makes that success even more sweeter than because you've experienced sort of lows on the way. So that's the way I view it, really. And I think if I'd have sailed through it without any issue, I don't think I'd really appreciate the success. And there's one saying that always springs to mind that I've always liked, and that's if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. I think for me, that couldn't be more true.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Gosh, what a story. I've only been involved, luckily, in one serious car crash. No one was hurt, but I know that feeling when everything suddenly you're going upside down and sideways, and I can appreciate and share with you how it must have felt. So I think this is moving into the section that's probably the question on everyone's lips is that, so how did you hear about Mannatech? What were your thoughts about it? And what made you say yes?
An interesting one, actually, because I actually remember the day really well. So I just got back to work from having set the first world record for running the fastest 10 marathons in 10 days. And I got back into work, and this was in 2008. And I had a phone call come through to the office. I'm not sure how they even found out where I worked or what my number was. They must have found it out from the press. There'd been quite a lot of press coverage of this world record. And she explained she was an associate with Manatech, who have a range of really sort of world-class nutritional supplements. She began to tell me the story of, why she thought they might benefit me, that they would make me a better runner than what I already was. And I didn't poo-poo it, because I'd always been a big believer in nutrition, in good nutrition anyway. It was always part and parcel of my, if you like, my overall kind of package of what I need to do to try and achieve these records. The thing is, I thought I was doing, the best I could anyway with the supplements that I was using and my nutrition anyway. But I've never been one to turn down an opportunity. And when she said, well, you could try these products for free and just see how you go, and if you don't think they're doing you any good, or you can't see any difference, then nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I thought, yeah, it's a fair enough comment. And I always think back to the first marathon that I ran. That was an opportunity. I could have just walked away. But I thought, no, opportunities come along in life, and sometimes you've got to just take them, because you don't know where they're going to lead. And I think for me, at that point, I just thought, no, I'm going to see if they do me any good. Amazingly, within less than 2 weeks, I was beginning to find I was recovering from my training sessions better. Bearing in mind that I would be training at lunchtimes. My training consisted at the time of sort of cycling to work, running at lunchtime, and then cycling home again. So quite probably 2 hours of training each day, and that was on top of sort of core strength work and weights sort of 3 or 4 times a week. So quite an intensive training regime, and recovery from that is so crucial, obviously, for muscle repair and getting the rest and everything, so you can go back into the next training session having recovered to a certain extent, and then obviously recovering for your races. So, but yeah, within 2 weeks, I noticed that my body was recovering a lot quicker. I was actually able then to increase the intensity of my training, and with the intensity being increased, that started to lead to better race performances. I mean, wow. I thought I was doing the best I could, what I was doing at that time. The proof in the pudding came, I agreed. I thought, wow, I'm going to give these a go, and I sort of started using them more regularly. And the following year, I went back to the same event, 10 marathons in 10 days, to defend my record. And I knocked 2 hours off my total 10 marathons in 10 days time. And I finished runner-up, only to be beaten by somebody half my age. So the record that I had obviously was broken, but I'd set a new veteran. So when you're 40 plus in running terms, you become a veteran. That veteran course record still stands to this day. Nobody over the age of 40 has broken that record, and that was done in 2009. But for me, that sold it. After that first year of being on the supplements from Manatech, I realised that these were going to really help me in terms of my recovery, my performance, and also my longevity in the sport. And funnily enough, it meant that I actually reached the 500 marathon goal in 2010 instead of 2012. And what I then decided to do was to improve the average finish time over the following 2 years, so that I was able to achieve that 500 marathon goal of a sub 3 hour 15-minute average. And I think, to be honest, I mean, I don't know, but it certainly has helped me go beyond the 500 to 6 and to 7 and ultimately to 1,000, because it's such a huge thing. It's such a huge part of any athlete's journey, getting their nutrition right. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And I can imagine, so the fact that your body, I think you said in your book that you noticed within 2 weeks that your muscle tone started to change even. It was that profound. And perhaps, when you were talked about recovery. And I can imagine how So from a physical point of view, there's a huge feedback to how you're feeling in your head, isn't it? So your mental attitude, your attitude towards the whole thing must have improved as well.
I think it's fair to say that I've just felt a lot sharper. I mean, after a training session, after you've cycled to work and you have a training session at lunchtime, the afternoons generally, I mean, my job was based around sort of IT support and running an IT team, and we'd be faced with some pretty sticky situations where you really had to concentrate and think. And sometimes those afternoons, I remember not being quite sharp or with it, but you know, I I found that I was recovering pretty quickly from those training sessions. So the day, those afternoons at work weren't so, um, should we say, I felt a lot sharper in the afternoons than I'd ever done for a long time. So that was certainly noticeable. Um, I mean, they've just helped with everything, really. I mean, just hadn't, I guess, appreciated just probably how much training required for running multiple marathons takes out of your body. Um, and I think as well as you get older, that's been the thing. As I've got older, what most people have been absolutely amazed by is just how I've been able to keep going. Yeah, okay, my times aren't as good as they were when I was in my 20s and 30s and 40s, but they're not a million miles away and on average. And just I think that's just what amazed people, just how I've been able to keep my body going over that period of time and keep my time so sort of consistent, really.
Wonderful, absolutely. So, of course, the big question on everyone's lips is could you talk to us about the products that you have been using? And if you have a favorite one, do you want to share that with you, or even a favorite 10?
Favorite 10, well, they're all favorites. I guess really the main one, well, the main ones that really do it for me, the Ambrato's Life. Um, just basically because cellular health, health from the inside, as I like to think of it, supporting and maintaining many body functions. And basically, I just find it is like the optimum product really to help aid, keep everything going, and keep everything optimum and to aid recovery. But I also like Nutrivirus, again, an all-round supplement, which I know will give me food-based minerals, vitamins, antioxidants, basically everything that I need to help keep my body in optimum shape, and also help boost my immunity. And I have to say, immune system is just it gets absolutely battered with all the training and the racing that I've had to do over many years. So having that support from a supplement, is brilliant. And having the Immunostart along with that as well, I think has definitely helped sort of keep me from being run down. That's not to say I haven't got tired. Of course, I've got tired, but it's I know some athletes and they're just, they're always got a cold or they've got a tummy bug or something, and their body's run down a lot. And it's a fine line being able to sort of train as hard as you possibly can without breaking down, so that you still, you sort of meet that red line where you can't go over it. You try to get as close as you possibly can to it to give you optimum fitness. Omega-3 for my joints, heart and brain health. Bounce back. I mean, bounce back. I wouldn't want to be without that, really. I mean, it's great for inflammation, sore muscles and joints. So I use that regularly. Sport as well. So depending on how my training has been and how many races I've been doing, the frequency of races, I use varying amounts of sport depending on my schedule, really. But again, that helps for me anyway. It's helped with utilizing the energy from the carbohydrate that I'm eating, so I get the maximum effect out of that, and also aid recovery from muscle soreness, that kind of thing. Gut health as well is one of those sort of things in athletes that is really important. So GI Pro Balance has been brilliant for that in terms of maintaining, a really healthy digestion system. And, with the amount of calories that I'm having to eat every day, that's really, really important. And GI Zyme sort of aid to help back that up, really, so that I know that I'm getting maximum nutrient absorption from all the food that I'm eating. And then Impact, I guess, is probably the other one. It's a great all-round drink. using it before, during, and even afterwards as well, in terms of giving you energy, giving you electrolytes, and also helps with your recovery as well. So I just find the whole, there's loads and loads of products, but they're the ones for me as an athlete that I've found to be, the most important. And I just think they all complement one another in what they're all able to do. So, just give me sort of all round good body health, and all of that whilst trying to push my body to the absolute limit. And I'm sure it's that's helped with my longevity. If I had to pick one of those things about sort of, performance and consistency and longevity really is what anybody wants in any sport. They want to keep going for as long as they can.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And so, how many times are you in the Guinness Book of Records, Steve? Please, can you clear that up for me?
So there's a few unofficial records, but the official records that have been in, and well, I'll start from the beginning. So the youngest person to run 100 marathons, that's since been broken. I was 28 years old when I managed that. The most marathons run in 1 year, which at the time was 87. And again, they were in the days when you had to travel all over the place to run that many marathons. You could run that many within, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, I think, within the UK now. But so that's since been broken. The fastest 10 marathons in 10 consecutive days, that was third official world record. Again, that's been broken. And then the one that I achieved last Monday, which which is the fastest official title, is the fastest aggregate time to run 1,000 marathons. So I'm hoping that will stand for a few years, because I don't intend trying to repeat that again.
Wonderful. And I know you did mention it a bit at the beginning, but would you mind, as we move towards the end here, could you just take us back to how it felt to cross the finishing line last week in Milton Keynes?
Gosh, I think just so emotional, just so many mixed emotions. One of excitement, relief, and disbelief. Yeah, just disbelief. This is the end. This is the end of an era. This is what we've been working towards for 43 years. Okay, I didn't know it 43 years ago that I'd be running over the line to run my 1,000th marathon and breaking a world record. But it's to feel that it's almost like the whole of my life was flashing before me just in those few seconds. And I just wanted to find Teresa and give her a big hug. And then, gosh, I don't think I've cried for 2 minutes solidly for a long time. That was it. It was just like every emotion just pouring out of me. And yeah, I just it just came out. I just couldn't stop it. It just all came out. It just and yeah.
I think we all were. All the Manitekers were there. Everyone, so many people online that were experiencing. Thanks to Catherine's great directing and and live filming and stuff. I agree. And there's a great statement or quote that says, "Behind every great man, there is a great woman."
Yeah.
And I do know for sure that with regards to you and your team Edwards, I know there's someone hopefully who might be close by at this very minute that you couldn't really have done it without. And if she wouldn't mind, and if you wouldn't mind, can we just see Teresa, sorry, the French pronunciation, very briefly, just to say thank you so much and send her all the love that you both deserve, really.
Okay, just give me 30 seconds, okay?
You got it. You got it.
Right.
Wonderful.
Can you hear me?
Yes, lovely.
Yeah.
So as I said, behind every great man, there is a great woman.
Go on, then.
Hey! Woo!
I'm here.
Team Edwards.
Team Edwards, fantastic, Teresa. It's a
Oh,
privilege to have been seen. I've seen Teresa at work. Steve's coming in at a turning around point or a drink stop, and she's there 100 yards out to give him
yes.
something, which she then and then running after him down to get him another bottle of Empac Plus.
Yeah,
Phenomenal to
sometimes
be
I don't
there.
quite get the pit stop right, but I'm there and I'm ready to run if he misses out on anything.
It is
Very
fantastic.
rare that happens. It's been a great team effort. It has really been a great
it's
team
absolutely
effort.
beautiful.
And
Thank
I've
you so
enjoyed
much.
it.
And just the last question for tonight, if you don't mind staying with us, Teresa, is so what does the future hold for Team Edwards?
Some quality time together, some travelling, not putting ourselves under pressure to be up early, you know, in the early hours of the morning to get from A to B, and just to
Week to week.
Week to week, yes.
Yeah.
Just to take things a little bit more leisurely, which is what we've been doing this last week, to be honest, Mark, and I've really enjoyed it. And I think you have too.
That's not to say there won't be another marathon.
No.
Absolutely, yes, I was going to say. And just last word, please, Steve, for you, you just kind of said it, that there could be other marathons, but I'm sure just for the sheer hell of the sheer pleasure of it, I should imagine.
We'll see. Yeah, not made my mind up yet, but keep thinking in my head, you know, there's still some competitive races left in me, but like Teresa says, the running marathons every single week, you know, that really has to stop. I've definitely drawn a line under that. This record that we've both achieved, really, should have both our names on it. This record has been the pinnacle of everything, and it goes way beyond anything that we could have ever imagined when we first started. So I'd like to think there's going to be some competitive marathons in the future. I'm a vet 60 now. You know, you're running your age category, you know, as you get older, and well, who knows? I can't say yet. I need a bit of rest, a bit of R&R, gather my thoughts, see where we go. Who knows?
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Well, look, guys, thank you so much for sharing. Steve, we've had the privilege of knowing you since 2008, approximately. We might have met you somewhere around at a convention. And I know I know for sure that you've inspired thousands of people, not just Manatechers, but in the marathon world around you. And we know that that's why they call you the man in the machine, with the great team behind you. So from us all here, I know we send enormous love and thank you for inspiring us all to get up and to share what we have. I think that's it, really. I don't want to say any more because it's just brilliant. So thank you all for being on the call. And please, if you do have your cameras on, please, out of respect for Steve, could you kindly come online very briefly and just show yourself, which would be wonderful. Let's have some more cameras on. And we can all give this incredible man, this man that's been leading from the front for all this time, 43 years leading from the front. How wonderful that is. And if ever that is an underlined statement for a leader, it certainly is. So Steve, I know on behalf of everyone here, we love you. Thank you so much for being part of our Manatech journey. And we do hope to see you very soon.
It's been a pleasure. Just like to thank everybody for all their support over the years. It really is appreciated. And you know, having that support from everybody, you know, a person is only as good as the team they've got around them. And, you know, without everybody's help and support, you know, I don't think we could have achieved all that we have. So, yeah, thanks for having us. And thank you again, everybody, for your support.
Thank you. Thank you.